You saw the thumbnail. Boilon was absolutely right. He dropped a really good point today about the interaction between Jeff the Land Shark and the Sentry, and it made me think, well, how is this team going to interact when it comes to face off against this character? If we look at the combat modifications, we see there's a lot of things that can't happen to the Sentry, but there are some things that are not on this list. Another point we want to make is it says their High Bob, Sentry, and Void are going to bring in minion characters. We will use that to our advantage. The modification there, Corrupted Mind, tells us as long as we spawned in with 5 of our Retcon characters, we can do 3 times the damage. So we can break the damage cap with Retcon. We can do that 12 million just the same way that Brimstone can do 12 million. We are going to notice, though, a significant difference in how the team operates. And to assist us in our endeavor, it says Darkened Hearts Retcon will gain 50% extra damage, armor, resistance, and focus. Let's take a look at the kits. Do you remember the Retcon kits that the Envoys got a chance to look at? Now that we have a little bit more context, let's notice how some of these abilities will indeed impact the matchup. We'll start with Jeff's basic ability, Just a Taste. Notice it will give 1 ultimate ability energy for self. So whenever he does his basic, and this includes if he's called in for an assist or if he does an ISO attack. So if he follows up on an ISO attack, he's giving himself ability energy. In addition, he will give 1 special ability energy to Gwenpool. That is something we definitely want to take notice of, how the different characters are going to be giving each other energy, allowing each other to do abilities. And keep in mind, these characters will not be restricted by the basic damage cap most characters have in the game. His special ability, Sharknado, pulls everybody in. And notice what it says there, on kill, you bonus attack all enemies for 360% piercing damage. Now this bonus attack, right, this will come in handy. Why? Because Sentry spawns with minions. So if we do this special ability, there's minions on the board, more than likely these new stat characters will eliminate some of those minions, which will mean that Jeff will go again. So he will have 2 attacks back to back that will break the damage cap and hurt Sentry. So here's a point that's very interesting. Jeff's passive ability, cute, I don't know what that word is, but it means Great White Shark. We looked that up. Now, when an enemy uses their ultimate ability, apply Time Warp to Jeff or to 1 Retcon ally that already does not have Time Warp. Now, here's the point that Boilon mentioned, that when we're fighting against the Sentry, it's not just the ultimate ability, it will be the special as well. So pretty much when Sentry attacks, right, when he attacks us with any meaningful damage, Time Warp will apply. What does Time Warp do? How will that help us in the fight? So let's notice the 3 lines at the bottom. First, underneath the Battleworld tag, allies with Time Warp gain 616 speed. That's 616 speed. Now, does that take us over the speed cap, right? Are we able to take multiple turns depending on what character we're using? I'm curious to see that. But we know with whoever the Time Warp lands on, they're going to get to go. They're going to take a turn. So every time Sentry attacks, if he does an ultimate, if he does a special attack, then one of the Retcon team is also going to attack in turn. How so? Because of what Time Warp does. On turn, you are going to attack a random enemy. Hopefully, the only enemy that's left standing at this time is indeed the Sentry, and you're going to attack with your character's ultimate ability at max level. It will also not consume your character's actual ultimate ability energy. So if we do indeed get to take multiple turns in a row, you could see situations where you could go ultimate, right? Ultimate special. However, you feel that you could best take advantage of the situation, whatever moves would be most appropriate, you could use that, and then you're going to lose that Time Warp. Let's move over to Deadpool and take note of his special ability, Bounty Hunter. On kill or in Battleworld, generate 4 ability energy for Deadpool and all of the Retcon allies. So now we're starting to see how things could scale and things might be able to get a little bit out of hand in our favor. Also in Battleworld, if you have 4 or more Retcon allies, so when the whole team is still alive, up and running, so obviously this is early in the game, you will fill Deadpool's speed bar by 70%. So again, Deadpool could be going relatively quickly. He could go very often, and his abilities are going to supercharge the rest of the team, making sure that when somebody else goes, they're able to use the strongest abilities that they have available. If there are minions available, I think this is going to be very, very interesting use of Deadpool's ability. Hack and Slash. It is a rebound chain. So you could attack Sentry, theoretically. He would chain to one of the minions and he could rebound and attack Sentry again. He could continue to do that until you've consumed all the minions that are around Sentry. So it says up to 5 adjacent targets. So if all the minions, think about this for a minute. If all the minions spawned around Sentry and you were able to do this move, would you attack him 5 times for maximum damage? 12 million, right? Because they can break the damage cap. So 12 million per hit. So would that be a total of 60 million damage from this one move? I'm curious to see. I don't know. I haven't seen it, but I want to know how this is going to work in real life. There is an excellent point right here in Deadpool's passive, Merc with a Mouth. On kill, generate 1 ability energy for Jeff the Land Shark. So again, if we're looking at that rebound chain that we just had, if Deadpool, right, he attacks multiple and eliminates multiple minions, does Jeff continue to gain energy? Is it 1 energy? Either way, we're giving extra energy to Jeff so that when it is indeed his turn, he's able to attack with the most effective tactic available. We'll move up to Gwenpool and her special ability. Now, this is the ability, keep in mind, that Jeff gave extra ability energy for, right? When Jeff had a move, he gave extra ability energy to Gwenpool for her special ability, A Cut Above. Now, the point we want to keep in mind is it says there in Battleworld, if the character has 4 Retcon allies, fill this character's speed bar. We're going to be filling Gwen's speed bar by 70%. So she's going to be able to pull this move off. She's going to break the damage cap, and then she's going to fill her speed bar by 70%, putting her in prime position to attack again. Squirrel Girl's passive, Eat Nuts. This is a healing ability, so this is going to help us to stay alive and prolong the fight, but even when she's healing, she's helping because she's going to call the ally with the highest damage to attack the primary target. And as we saw, especially like if it's Jeff the Land Shark, the ISO attack still applies and people get more energy. In addition, if other people are injured, but it's not her, right? If her health is above 90%, she is going to gain more ability energy, meaning it's easier for her to get this ability going again. Her ultimate ability, Squirrel Army, she's going to do some damage, but notice this, she will fill the speed bar by 10% for each Retcon ally. So what are we saying here? Is this a 40% speed bar increase, right? Is this yet another boost in the speed for the entire team? See, we see that Brimstone seems like they have some passive, right? They do passive damage to Sentry as he attacks them, but it looks like that Retcon team is made to really go more on the offensive and be combat heavy. Talking about keeping our health intact, notice what it says here in her passive, Unbeatable. Retcon allies will gain drain. So the entire team, while they're fighting against Sentry, will gain drain. So they should be relatively healthy. His health meter is pretty high. They're going to be breaking a damage cap. So every time they attack, they will be draining. And hopefully that means they will be relatively healthy, easier to keep the fight going. We'll turn our attention to She-Hulk and her passive ability, Court Order. Now, one of the things we might not remember about She-Hulk, but when her team takes hits, so in this case, it does indeed say a Retcon ally, when they take damage, she's going to gain a charge. But if Jeff the Land Shark is there, well, he's obviously there, he's on the Retcon team, it's 2 charges instead. Once she reaches maximum charge, which is 5, then she will attack the most damaged enemy, the enemy with the most damage for 300%. So we're going to assume that once again is going to break the damage cap plus the additional target. So if there's people standing around next to Null, she should wipe them out as well and lose all charge after that. So if she's taking on 2 charges every single time, that would mean 3 attacks, right? 3 attacks done by the opponent into the Retcon team will trigger her passive here, and she will attack. This is out of turn damage that every 3 hits, you're going to hit that charge mark and she's going to retaliate. Hopefully it's just Sentry that's left and you can continue to do damage to him, breaking that damage cap, especially when it's out of turn. This is the information that we have. It was inspired by the fact that Boilon had that data mine talking about how Jeff would interact with the Sentry. Some of the information we already knew, but some of it we didn't. We didn't know about that special ability, and it just got me thinking, that's only one character. What would the rest of the team do? So, do you think that the Retcon team is going to be able to do more damage than the Brimstone team? Do you think it will be the same, or do you think it will be less? How long do you think it's going to take for us to get this team up and running anyway? Are you excited about the Retcon team? So, as always, this is the video that I saw, and if you haven't seen this video, please check it out. It's legit.